Hello, fellow Toastmasters, dynamic leadership and changing trends. Under this podcast series, this is next episode. I'm going to provide reflection on the path, what I learned. In this episode, I'm going to practice vocal variation, facial expressions, dramatization, connecting with audience with a story. So let's start. Singularity. Do you see what I mean? When I say singularity, do you think something like this pops up in your mind, right? You saw that cone, so everything was like a point. All the energy was at single point, concentrated at single point. And then what happened? Big Bang. Time started. But what happened at that time? We saw that cone. So we understood. Let me tell you what I understood. When Big Bang happened, singularity finished and binary started with immediately when t equal to 1 of whatever the unit you are thinking about, it becomes binary because energy converted into mass. We saw all the energy started converting into mass, then stars are started developing, then galaxies are started forming, all those clouds, nebulae, dust, gas, and energy. Immediately singularity turned into binary. If you see world today or universe today, you will see at least binary. Dimension is at least binary. It will be near, far, big, small, or anything. If you think about humanity or anything, it is composed of binary. After binary, what happens? It converts into multiple dimensions. So if you see a light, it is consist of 7 colors, what we understand. And we know we don't see lots of frequencies. So it becomes a spectrum. Singularity turned into binary, then it becomes like a trinity. When the atoms form, it had a positive charge and negative charge. It was a binary. Then something neutral came that becomes like a trinity. And then we saw a single charge particle, say positively or negatively. It has different energy levels. So even it's an electron and it's negatively charged, but it will be moving in different energy levels across the atom. That is, we are just talking about the matter. And when we go to antimatter, that means that's another story because it reflects exactly the opposite of the universe, what we saw. That means it will have a negatively charged nucleus and the positively charged particles will be surrounding it. So that's a general definition of antimatter. So what I'm saying is singularity finished with immediate effect. So what it is, why, how all this energy, dust, gas, so much big mass, why these galaxies are traveling so fast, what's happening? You saw that cone. Now I want to tell you, when there is some explosion happens, then isn't it should go all over, like all the directions? Why they are showing only the cone? Because if the Big Bang happened here, then if you are a left-hander, then the cone is this side, and if you're right-hander, then cone is this side. Why not? It might be oriented everywhere, isn't it? Why the Big Bang will happen only one side? They are saying it's like a balloon. So, but balloon is hold. There is a hold point, right? We are holding the balloon with the spin and then pinch and then balloon inflates. So that's why it's one direction. So that's the cone what we're talking about. What is pinching the universe? Why it will go only one direction? So as if you go to Einstein or anybody, even from historical today or uh, current scientists like Michio Kaku or anybody, they will say we understand only 10 to 15% of universe. So that's how it is. That it tells us because we don't understand a lot of things. That's it shows because they are showing and everybody is accepting. I have seen whenever the Big Bang it goes like this. Now just tell me, like I mean, see, I'm a right-hander, but so my cone is this, and if you're a left-hander, your cone will go like this, or how you envision and why it will be like this because is who's pinching the universe at one end, then only it will go one way. And we understood, according to Einstein, that light is the fastest element, or light is the fastest thing in the universe. We understood immediately. I mean, Einstein had his theory probably 120 years ago, and probably after 20 years only, it was observed by Hubble that the galaxies are traveling even faster than the galaxy, even faster than the speed of the light. Right? So that's not even true. And galaxies has the mass because according to Einstein theory, if something is reaching the speed of light, that means it should become like photon, like massless. But that's not true. So consider the idea was came like the space-time inside it is expanding. So a lot of things we don't even understand at this time. That's what we can say. That's a correct statement. We understand from the universe like 10, 15% of thing, and then rest of the thing we are still understanding it. As a human, we can see the 7 spectrum of light and hear up to 20 kilohertz of sound. Our instrument detect from infrared to ultraviolet, but nothing beyond that. So whatever we understand about the universe, that is like in that band. Apart from that, do you know you have heard about this? Like Earth is surrounded by the magnetic field. So that's why the radiations coming from the sun doesn't affect because the magnetosphere bypasses it. But do you know even sun has a magnetosphere? Sun entire solar system is inside the magnetosphere of sun. That means those radiations or let's call those signals, they are not entering our solar system. So whatever we see, even that magnetosphere allows it. So if magnetosphere doesn't allow something, we don't see it. We know that Higgs boson, that means the Higgs boson will turn energy to mass or vice versa only in the Higgs field. So there is something called Higgs field. We know there is a magnetic field or like gravitational field that's called Higgs field. So other than Higgs field, something else is there we don't understand. All right. Now you are going to ask me a question. I know. What a weird, I mean, what are you talking about? Why? What's your point? Right, let's come. So I was trying to explain something, some questions I had in my brain, and I thought, let's see, I can reciprocate with you or I can connect you with that. Because we think like humans understand everything, and but that's only from the Earth's time frame or like a frame of reference. That's the only thing we understand. That's what I'm thinking. But even so, let's come into only the Earth's frame of reference. Universe and everything we understand. We don't even understand anything. So let's not go there because whatever is not coming through the sun's magnetosphere, we don't even understand it. And the Voyagers will take a huge time to go out of the solar system's magnetosphere. Then we need to have some kind of chain to relay the other outside radiations or signals so that we can see. But till now, that's not there. So let's consider ourselves into Earth's frame of reference, only solar system and Earth frame of reference. And let's see what we can find out. So as I said, like if you just consider the Earth, third rock from the sun, such a magical planet. Entire solar system is composed of rocks, dust, icy particles, and everything, gas giants, and everything. More than trillion objects will be there just in the solar system, but only one is harboring the intelligent life. We know we have two sister planets. One is the Venus and one is the Mars, and every evidence suggests they may be similar to Earth, but they don't have it now. Because we see there is a volcanic effect happened on the Venus at some point in time, and scientists have definitely think that there should have been some kind of intelligent life maybe present on the Venus at some point in time, and then the runaway effect happened on the volcano came out, and the entire planet was become like a runaway gases, greenhouse gases, and then that's how we see the very bright planet. What happened to Mars? Because Mars, we clearly see the water was flowing through, and that is even not proved it that the water had flown through the surface of the Mars. And if the water was flowing through liquid state, then it should have an atmosphere. Now we understand the planets doesn't lose their gravity. I mean, if it is made up of mass, it won't lose its gravity. So why the atmosphere just flew away? Because Earth is holding its atmosphere. The same way Mars should have been holding its atmosphere, but it is not there. So most likely it there is something reversal happened into its magnetosphere, and the radiations came from outside. They knocked out the atmosphere slowly. So that probably only the explanation we can give. And then the water receded, or water molecules knocked off, and now water inside the planets. That's the only thing remained. Right, so that's the explanation. But for Earth, see how the odds are there, like, and everything worked correctly. Do you see? I mean, isn't it like a Powerball odds, like a 1 in 293 million? Then only one planet happened, because everything has to work through such a great way. Because planet of Earth should harbor life depends upon planet of Jupiter. Do you know why? Because if Jupiter doesn't have that big and it doesn't have that gravity, all those asteroids are supposed to come, and there nothing was supposed to be life, as we call it. Apart from that, it should have the oxygen, and then the carbon-based life is starting on this. So, and we see this is such a complex chains, life chains are there. So, such a big odds, right? Because out of trillion objects, no other thing we see, at least as of now. So that's what always puzzled me. So if you study the Earth life cycle, Earth, some kind of life started forming on Earth probably more than billion years ago. It was a single-celled species, and then it started evolution cycle started, and it becomes different kind of species, and then one species become the food for other, and the food chain started. But at the same time, we understand there are multiple mass extinction happened on the life of the Earth, at least 5 of them, which we understand. And the latest being the big impact, that is the asteroid, 6 Mile asteroid hit the Earth, and then it wiped out most intelligent life at that time. So let's understand. Billions of years ago, very primitive one-celled life started. That's understood, and then it evolved. But whenever mass extinction happened, the life started on different node. Something different and more advanced started. That's what is the funny thing about. For example, up to dinosaur was the most intelligent, we understand. And those were the category of serpents, because we know dinosaurs were kind of serpents. When the dinosaurs got extinction because of the deep impact, what happened? Once the dust settled, life started. But dinosaurs did not evolve again. That's the point I wanted to make. We see dinosaurs are not totally extinct because there are crocs, then there are snakes, and there are certain turtles. Their ancestors were from dinosaurs. That's what we can see. And at that time, where were mammals? At least I don't know much about that. Probably they must be somewhere in the ocean because they were not there on the earth, or they were not on the surface. I'm sorry, they were not on the surface, they were on the ocean. Because when the deep impact happened, whatever was on the ground was totally uh, lost. Life survived only in the packets, like something in the cave or some formations where the oxygen got trapped and then ecosystem survived because the planet was covered with the dust for almost millennia, and then sunlight was not coming through, or we saw all that thing. So even the snakes, crocs, or all those things to survive, there must be packets of oxygen must have been there, and that's what we think that might be. That's that way they survived on the planet, on the ground, and whatever in ocean probably survived because deep ocean may still harboring the oxygen and other thing, food chain might have been there. So mammals should have been there. But funny thing is, when the deep impact settled down, the mammals chain started forming. So mammals become more advanced. So last 60 million years or 60 plus million years, if you see that dinosaurs, we evolved like a many more times than whatever dinosaurs evolved in that particular time, from that mass extinction up to the last mass extinction. So that was funny. How did it happen? Who decided that? How? Why mammals? Suddenly, right? Really? But we understand that randomness is the property of the universe. You cannot say why, how, where, because that's how universe will be. Why solar system is like it is, and why the other system is, other sun like other star system is like that, we cannot say, because that their composition may be different. Randomness is the part of the universe. So let's say mammals started. Let's take that argument and then continue that. Okay, mammals started after that, right? Okay, so mammals started evolving, and now how the evolution cycle started, let's see from in this current cycle of the life cycle of the earth. What is the best way to study that? That's the Darwin's theory of evolution. Now, Darwin has faced lots of criticism, and uh, even from scientific side, not necessarily from religious side. We know religious side, Darwin has faced lots of criticism because the way he said how the evolution started. People were not agreeing to that. We know same thing happened to Galileo, Kepler, and so many other scientists, that religious institute did not approve that. Because when Darwin said how the evolution started or how the life came, that was against the theory of theology or religion. So let's keep it aside. But even from scientific side, it had lots of opposition. But that's the probably the most probable explanation how the life has started. So we will go with that because it tells us that the nature selection or the life evolved, our DNA is evolved based upon uh, three things like survivability of the outside environment, reproducibility, and food. So the life is progressed or advanced based upon uh, the environment or environment outside, because it try to match themselves with the environment, and then they try to reproduce more, or reproducibility will be decided based upon that, and then what is the food chain. So that's how their DNA keeps on getting evolved. So survivability includes even the enemies, so that they get our DNAs will evolve based upon we have to survive in the food chain. So we see their food chains has formed. So in the mammals, sometime they came out of the ocean, but serpents were still there and they survived, and then they moved into their own chain. Mammals started and they formed the, like, probably started ruling the planet. So how mammals, and then birds, probably birds were there at the time of dinosaurs as well, and dinosaurs are considered, even birds are considered as a, like a, birds ancestors were probably dinosaurs. That's what some theory says, but let's see. So how the DNAs are evolved, but that's what I wanted to discuss about. We see, I mean, there will be, every species will get certain kind of traits in them so that they will survive in their uh, environment. They will be able to reproduce and they will be able to get the food, and then they will be surviving in the food chain. So that's what we see. So, for example, birds get, birds has wings so that they can fly, or uh, certain mammals, like we see there are millions of different mammals are there, then different birds, then different fish, and then different serpents. So everybody were evolving in certain ways, and we saw very notable traits like what we can discuss. Say uh, one great example of chameleon, because it changes its color when the environment changes. Now we have to understand how those DNAs might have been formed, because that's not an intelligent life, as we say, but it understands the RGB. Because RGB, our phone, do you know this phone? This has the RGB, but we understand changing this RGB in like 20 years ago commercially. Earlier we knew that, but we started like playing with the touch screen like commercially like 20, 30 years ago. But Shyamalan is doing millions of years ago. And how those pigments form, or how that, considering that, what is the, because that Shyamalan understands that if he makes the color like red, then that means the his enemy will be scared. Or if he matches the color of leaf, that means he understands what is leaf, right? So that pigment he generates, and uh, then he survives. So how all that thing happened, isn't it? I mean, so uh, such a wonderful thing, and we consider Shyamalan is not considered was not considered as the intelligent life. So how all those DNAs got came there? That's the really question. Let's see more examples like that. Or let's see some very notable examples. Like we know, like in Siberia, all the big cats, feline and canines were came from Siberia, because we know all those big cats came from Siberian, and then they had like a bigger tooth. There was like mammoth, elephant. It has a trunk, so it had developed a trunk uh, which is so unique, right? That must be helping it to for water, then air, as well as the food. Apart from that, giraffe, that's another thing. So very odd example, but it has like such a big neck, but it had exactly 7 bones in his neck. The way we had it, or the mouse had it, the giraffe had it. So it came from same. That's what we understand. But it evolved only, like his neck got so big that it can reach to the top of the tree. But interesting thing is, there was grass on the ground, because there were deers and everything. The ecosystem where giraffe is, there was grass and everything was at every level. But giraffe developed such that it probably did not wanted to compete with the other things, so it kept on increasing its neck. Such a, I mean, such an engineered thing, isn't it? Like product lines, I would say. We Do you know, like we have cars, and then they have different chassis, they have bodies, different bodies. Lots of cars, if you don't know, the motor inside that may be same or similar. They change the chassis and outer exterior or features, and then they make a different model. Not every time, like Ford comes, that's not like everything doesn't change. Most of the time, the motor remains same, but the exterior or features get added. So that's what it looks like, right? Because if giraffe has 7 bones and mouse has 7 bones, human has 7 bones, then That means everything must have come from same place, same start. But how it got evolved, so different, also like such a great different product line as far I could think about. All right, so we saw those traits, like giraffe has a big neck for probably food. Then we see probably certain birds has such a big beak, the entire body is like a beak because they can get the food. So that's for food, as we understand. Then we see those big antlers. I mean, the head is like deer's, or that elk's head is like this, but antlers are such a big. Probably, as we understand, that's for fight with the rebels. So those traits are generated. That's what we see. They evolved and such a unique way. And even they are sharing the same ecosystem, but they were changed or have their traits developed differently, even in the same ecosystem. That's what we wanted to highlight. It's not necessary that the environment changed and then some trait came. It looks like the traits came based upon how individual DNA, like individual product lines. That's what we get. That's what we see. Because even they are in all same ecosystem, but all the different species got developed in different ways. Right? So amazing. And apart from that, I want to show you one more thing. Those like food chains, as we say, started with herbivores to the carnivores. So every element will have in the food chain. So that's so amazing, because if you see deer, some point in time, everything should have been herbivore, and somewhere the carnivores came. Probably because drought came and then nothing, all the herbs gone, and then probably those DNA changed, and then they started eating the flesh. That's how probably, and then the chains that bifurcated, even though they are from same similar start point. But now, if you see a deer, probably say 60 million years, deer won't evolve like a big nails, never. They won't evolve canines. That will help them survival, right? Their survivability will be increased. That won't happen. They will evolve such a way that only in that chain, if you see, that's what exactly has happened. Like deer will evolve, like it will increase its speed of running so that it can survive from the predators, or it can reproduce more, or it can survive in difficult environments, but it will never grow like canines or some kind of nails or something uh, which will scare the predators. Now you will say no, they evolved their antlers. I wanted to highlight one point. Have you seen how they use their horns or antlers? They do that more than 90% of times to fight with the rival male, and not with cheetah or leopard or lion or bear. They will fight for the who is the strongest in the herd. So rival mate, they fight with those horns. If they really use their horns on the predators, I mean, it will be a problem for predators. We can say that, but that generally never happens. I wanted to give one example in this so that you will understand. If you see a mama deer, she doesn't have big horns. That probably the male deer has the big horns. Only mama deer maybe has small horns. If she has a fawn near her baby, and a ferocious predator approaches, say one ferocious lion or leopard approach, first reaction, mama deer won't run away. Even she is the smallest and she doesn't have big horns or probably no horns. She will go with the aggression that the ferocious lion will retract as a first step. You can see that. Lion or any predator won't retract because of their horns, big horns. Some male comes, they won't. For the mama deer. So that aggression, right? If all the predators, all the herbivores develop that instinct, still there's the survivability will be more, and the planet will be full with the herbivores, but that doesn't happen. So that's what I see. everything gets evolved in such a V-shaped, I mean, exactly plan. And that's what we see. It doesn't even, the randomness of the universe is not here. That looks like, because otherwise something should have randomly evolved, those kind of thing that we don't see. So water horns are, they have evolved to fight mainly with the rival mates, not the predators. So uh, predators should have that, and predators will evolve with more speed, canines and everything. They won't start eating herbs because there is a drought and animals, that won't happen. So we saw the big cats in Siberia, they just got extinct, and they came down when the environment changed. They didn't start eating something else. Didn't start eating herbs. They moved to warmer environment down. So that's what we see. And then uh, very great example, like if you see tiger and lion, okay, those are big cats, and they can mate naturally as well. Survival, I mean, produce, it can produce it. We know that tigon or liger or something that can produce naturally also possible, and even in laboratory it has very high rate of success rate. The success rate goes down between lion and leopard or lion and cheetah and so on. So out of four, the first two are very close, but they look at their habitat. That means tigers survived from the Siberia only there, but the other species came down. And how, if the two species are away from each other more than 100,000 years, then they won't be able to mate. That's what it will be. Like then they'll become like a different species. But they both can meet in nature as well. If you go to South Asia or Southeast Asia, there is a lion and tiger, both can stay in same habitat. Uh, if you know that there are Asiatic lions are there, and then tigers, they can, there's a stories are there, they can meet in wild as well. And it's possible. So that means those two species are not very far away from each other in time. Like, uh, so I'm just trying to show that how the evolution happened. So because Darwin suggests everything like a nature selection or probably randomness comes into picture according to his theory, but we see that's partially true, because certain traits are developed and we cannot explain how they are, even though everything is in the same environment. All right. So let's give to Darwin that's fine. I mean, there are limitations to theory, but still it's there. So how DNA is evolved like this? Then why somebody developed big neck? Why not? Let's ask that question. Why not? Yeah. So it did. Okay. So the question is next. So we see the big neck, or like a big trunk, or the big beak, or the, like a turtle has that cover, right? It has some purpose. Like everybody has a sensory system, and the one sensor develops over other for the purpose of survivability or food or reproducibility. But around 3 million years ago, or 3 to 10 million years ago, what happened? Certain apes, big apes, right? They started bifurcating in the DNA, even though everybody was in the same chain, same environment. But certain apes started bifurcating, and they started growing what? Brain. Why? That never happened. If you see till 3 to 10 million years ago, always a sensor organ develops. Some part of sensor, like of eyesight, hearing, smell, or some other traits. Brain was used as a coordinator only. Brain was not developed. If you see those dinosaurs, such a huge species, but brain was used as a coordinating system. Brain was not used for anything else. Here, brain started developing. Now you will say again, why not? I mean, somebody can develop neck or trunk, then why not brain? The story goes before, after that. They started developing brain, but what happened? They started retracting their nails. They started becoming straight. That means their backbone started becoming straight. That means they are going to walk on two legs without wings. Because we know birds walk on two legs, but they have wings. Now, if something in wild runs on two legs and competing with the four legs, who will win? Right? Naturally. But it started developing. Uh, it back then its smell went down. So very bad. I mean, it cannot. If you know the like predators, how great smell they had, we don't have that. We don't. Our eyesight went down. We didn't see in the night. We can see only few. I mean, full daylight, and that's what it is. Our hearing is not at all. I mean, not at all par. If you go to other predators, our food habits, I mean, we cannot eat only herbs we can eat in nature, but our dietary system is very complex. So herbs also, it cannot eat grass or anything. It has to be very, very specific. So this over the it is evolving, right? I mean, that's how we see. And brain is evolving. I mean, that's the great thing about it. That beats the Darwin's theory completely. Why brain will develop on and let it develop, but it goes, everything else is going down. Then how it will survive in the wild? Let's take today's human. Let's take all the gears out, external gears out, put in the wild. It cannot survive. It will survive if you give some external gears. That means because I mean, where I'm coming from, do you know, like a polar bear, it has a habitat. Like if you say all the big cats, it has a habitat, right? They survive in the those plains like savannas and everything. Uh, what is humans' habitat? No, nowhere, because you cannot survive in any habitat naturally. You can survive with the external gears than any habitat, but not in the natural gear, never. Okay. I mean, it's like you are like a making polar bear living in the tropics with making that like cooling zone, or the tropical element surviving in the cold with greenhouse. It's like this, right? That you make the external gears and then it survives. So humans are like that. So that's how we are evolving. So if you want to say either Darwin's theory is plainly defeated here or something else, let's go with something else. That means the brain was developing because it was going to create tools. Now let's go to the chameleon. Means that guy is not intelligent life, but it was knowing the RGB and then paint and everything, pigments and everything. So chemical, I mean, it's a chemical chemistry, what we understood like humans like 5,000 years ago with the intelligent brain. So when the humans brains were developing, the idea was it should evolve like this to create those tools, create, understand, or make calculus. What was the envision? I mean, Mr. Darwin, tell us why the brain was developing and on behalf of everything else. I mean, it started like taking the tools, like take the stone and started breaking the nuts, and then the brain started developing. Isn't it? I mean, somebody has to architect it. That's what looks like to me. All these are product lines, perfectly architected. Look, their size, shape, every contour, habits, everything. Unless it's a product line, we cannot explain. And whatever are the defects, those are the QA defects. Like every product line has the defects. So that's what we see. So the product line keeps on evolving and becoming better, right? And it goes with like a chain, like everything you see, that's a particular chain is there for each habitat and very such a greatly developed. How can this, how all these things, because when we have to accept that randomness is the universe, then how these things, how all this randomness come together? I mean, that's the Powerball as we understand, like 1 in 293 million, that's odd. I mean, either way, but that's human. I mean, we know like something will come out, but all these things comes together. Even the Jupiter needs to be there to make the asteroid don't come here. So everything needs looks like a product line to me. So Mr. Darwin, I mean, it was not only religious institutions are opposing you. It's on scientific level as well. Why human brain was developed or why humans got developed? Because humans has no natural habitat on the planet Earth. You put in any habitat, it's not, you cannot survive anywhere. I mean, you cannot survive in the scorching uh, deserts, not in the cold, not in the tropic. Natural gear, not possible anywhere. So that's how we are developed right now. Why we are developing? Because the brain developed, it is doing the calculus, doing all these things. Isn't it there is an architect? The architect is developing on working on this, and then, I mean, that's what I wanted to go. So now let's put the theory here. So we think that theology or religious is blah blah, or what the proof. So my even NASA scientists and everybody is accepting it. That Carl Sagan, Mr. Carl Sagan, he said, you did not disprove God. Correct? Because now, isn't it the indirect definition? Because unless there's an architect, God of universe must be, which we don't understand. As I told you, 15 to 20% also we don't understand. We understand only thing what enters our solar system, what our sun allows. That's the only radiation probably entering it. Correct? Because we don't have anything going outside as of now. So all those are theoretical. I mean, that's what we extrapolate to understand what might be there. Like if you understand 15% or 20%, then you extrapolate to understand, okay, then 20%, 40% may be like this, 60% may be like this. That's how, so those things has been developed in us. So we have been inculcated that those tools in our brain, and that's why our brain got evolved. So this product line has been developed for that. All the others are supporting product lines. So that's the architect, isn't it? Now, why human brain came? Because earlier, if you see, like up to fifth mass extinction, it was not developing brain. It was the product lines were different. So why architect might have developed the brain this time? Because it's trying to, I mean, it's doing something to against the probably uh, life of the earth can become down. Like that's what we see because of the human activities. So why architect is doing this? So there must be like a roll-up architect or say God, then each star system may have their own architects, and then those are the planetary, probably the coordinators or managers. That's what it looks like, right? I mean, jokes apart, but isn't what you conclude that? So somebody may be in charge of solar system. They saw, okay, two failed attempts, Mars and Venus, two failed attempts. Then Earth was successful, but something, I think those architect doesn't govern the physical laws of physics. So if asteroid is going to come, they cannot govern it. So they will say, okay, then you have to find something else. So they make sure that the DNA still be up. So till earlier that point, probably the architect might have created the Jupiter to make this planet safeguard. So they created something to make the planet safe, but still something is coming through. So now the architects are deciding that, okay, we need something else so that next time deep impact happens, we still should be still good. You must be laughing. I mean, what this guy is saying. I want to give you an example. Do you know when the new product comes, what they do before? Modern time, let's not go into anything else. This is what modern times do, what people will do, or what any product scientists do. They create a prototype. They will create something in small. For example, if you are building the Hoover Dam, then they first make a replica of it. And they see all the physical forces in that bonsai model should work. And then that will extrapolate to the bigger model. Correct? So the theory suggests that brain might have been developed by the architects so that if deep impact happens, then we should uplift. I mean, let's take that intelligent life, whatever we have. Probably the architect loves the creation. Whatever architect is loving the creations, we know that. So architect is loving its creation and it wants to survive and probably more market it or more save it, more systems. So that might be the reason the brain has been developed, and that's what we see. The brain is developing the calculus and all the everything. What we think that we are doing, no, that's where inculcated in our brain. Those were the purpose. That's what we wanted. That's what architect wanted. That okay, we should develop these. We should make these. We should do the terraforming the planet. Like let's try it out on Mars, or let's try it on the some bigger asteroids. Land on the asteroids. Your vehicles are not that fast right now. There, you can use the asteroids are your vehicles. You can make asteroid cities. So they are trying to harness the energy. So all those things have been developed in us. You will say, what's the proof? Again, Carl Sagan, you did not disprove it, but what did you prove it? I want to prove it as well. Means apart from I want to take help from Carl Sagan that you did not disprove God, but I want to prove it as well. How? Let's go to our scriptures. Let's go to religious. Every religion, whatever we have, has a story. You know, there was big flood came, and the Messiah took the each species and make an ark and save it. Do you know why the God is commanding to create an ark? I mean, I don't understand that command at all. Because if the flood is coming, God should command go to the higher level. If flood is coming, then you go to the next. I mean, that's what human migrations has happened. How? Why God was telling to create an ark when the flood is coming? That's the prototype. God wanted to do the prototype. Okay, if let me send you the flood as a deep impact, and then how you will survive. So you will create an ark, you will put all the species in that, and then you will survive the deep impact. Don't you think that's true? That must have been the prototype. So because we understand God's command, why that command came. It's very simple, right? If flood came, go to the upper level, higher level, or different level. There must land was there. I mean, we don't have to tell God how much land was there. So why ark command came? Because that was the prototype. So every in product line, scientists will create a prototype first. They will create the simulated environment. Okay, the deep impact is coming, and then how you will survive it. And now they are telling us, okay, learn that and save the planet if deep impact comes. Apart from that, water impact you may create because of because when product line has been developed, those are probably something like okay, they have to worry about you will not create any some other atomic explosion or something. That theory shouldn't have been there for the architect. So architect is clearly thinking if deep impact comes, then humanity or the creation should be survived. If you like it, let me know. Thank you.